Thank you. I've got so many questions here. My colleague from Long Beach will be asking one that I wanted to ask, but it relates more to his district than mine. I still have too many questions, so I've got some efficiency ideas. I'd ask members of the panel to raise their hands if they believe that this agreement is going to reduce our trade deficit with the countries involved. Now, I'll let you know that our trade deficit currently totals $154 billion, half of that if you exclude Japan. So how many people think it will reduce? Mr. Gerwin, okay, we've got 2 members. And how many people think it will increase our trade deficit? Okay, which of you is either yourself or on record or your organizations are on record as predicting that MFN for China would dramatically increase our trade deficit? I see one hand. So the others who ventured, and that's Ms. Drake. So the other 2 gentlemen here didn't get it right on China, but they're confident that they're going to get it right this time. And who here predicted that we would see an increase in our trade deficit with Korea after the Korea Free Trade Agreement? Or I see Ms. Drake raising her hand. I see the other panelists not. So nothing more connotes insanity than doing the same thing over and over again and expecting another result. Mr. Gerwin, I want to focus on the footnote that we got in our most recent agreements with Panama, Colombia, Korea. And that stated that if we invoke the essential security provision, allowing us to take action essential for our own national security interests or for international peace and security, that matter was not subject to review. Can you shed any insight as to why we would, in effect, be erasing that we got in the Korea Free Trade Agreement by not having it in the TPP?
I'm afraid I can't, Congressman. I don't know of exactly what is being discussed in the current context of the TPP, and I must say I can't say I'm a specialist on national security issues.
Well, this is the Subcommittee on Terrorism and Nonproliferation as well as Trade, and to think that we would sit by while that footnote is obliterated by those who want to make ever greater concessions on trade issues during these negotiations is surprising. And perhaps we can get government witnesses to come before us here and find out why they're hell-bent on sacrificing our national security interests in an effort to go forward with this agreement. Ms. Drake, can you give us a little insight as to what this enormous trade deficit means for working families in the United States?
Absolutely. Trade deficit represents lost jobs. Either directly, they were here, they were shipped overseas so that goods and services can be produced there and then exported back to the U.S., or they're a lost opportunity where it could have been job growth within the U.S., but it was job growth elsewhere. Just from the first year of the Korea FTA, which you discussed a bit in your opening statement, 1 year doesn't make a trend, but those first year numbers are quite disturbing, and it looks like the $5.8 billion increase in our deficit from that first year represented about 40,000 jobs that American workers could have had.
If I can interrupt, and you're the only person here representing an organization who predicted something close to that result. What about currency manipulation? Raise your hands if you or your organization have been actively calling for enforcement of the rules against currency manipulation. Again, we see only Ms. Drake's hand go up. And I would just ask, how could you call it a free trade agreement if American workers are protected by an organization, namely the U.S. government, that's unwilling to invoke the currency manipulation provisions that we have now, unwilling to call China a currency manipulator. I fear for the American people that they have to live with the trade decisions made by this government. I yield back.
To answer the gentleman's question, the United States trade representative was invited to testify and refused to testify. You can take that however you want to take it. So,
those with good cases don't hesitate to present them.
silence speaks loudly. The chair will recognize members of the subcommittee, and then I see that we have some members of the full committee here. Mr. Rohrbacher, as procedure, we will take those individuals that can ask questions at the end. Mr. Lowenthal from California is recognized next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ranking Member, also for this.